Hello everyone. Now we are back on track. Last time I did explain to you that I'm gonna tell you what happened to me when I was a model in South Africa during the apartheid regime. Something very, very special happened to me because while I was at home, I had to think about my future. What do I want to do next? I was like in a limbo. So something told me I have a lot to do. I can still learn something out of my life. So what I did was I took a taxi into the city of Johannesburg. That's when I was dressed so nice, I was walking there, window shopping, and then that's when the couple saw me that asked me what my profession was. I did mention the last video. So the procedure is like this. I went to the studio, to the model agency. Obviously, they took me, I signed the contract and everything, and I was a model. I modeled for this company and I was having some fashion shows, doing this and that. It was just fantastic. But unfortunately, I could not work longer with this company. Why? Because the couple was black and white. She was black and then he was a white guy. In South Africa, the blacks were not allowed to have a relationship with another nation, meaning with the whites. So they were forbidden. So it was a law which was called Immorality Act. So this couple were both shot dead. Till today, we don't know who killed who, were they killed or whatever. Obviously, this model agency was closed, right? So the next step was then I had to find the second model agency. I was lucky, I found one. So this model agency I worked for, the woman was so fantastic. She was really good because she could see my qualities. She could see what she could do out of me. So while I was working as a model, she actually promoted me so I could train, so she could train me how to model and then teach others. So I was like then the co-worker. So because I was really quick in in learning things. So then I've learned how to work on the ramp. Then I was teaching other models how to walk on the ramp. It was so good because for myself, I thought I'm still young and I'm like elevating in the things that I'm learning. So it was so fantastic. So one of the things happened to me while I was working in this company. So there was fashion shows all over Johannesburg. So this woman got a contract. So we were having a fashion show outside Johannesburg. Obviously, I was still young. I had no car. I was traveling by taxis, And then one day on a Saturday, I come from a fashion show. And then while I was walking in the streets of Johannesburg after this fashion show, something happened to me, something which was very, very bad. I'm going to explain about this before I tell you what I meant the bad thing happened to me. In South Africa, black people were forced to carry IDs, right? The Indians, they didn't have to. The colored people, they didn't have to. The whites, they didn't have to. But we black people, we had to carry an ID. An ID, it's something like this. This is called the ID for the black people, meaning a Dompas. Dompas means an ID for the stupid people. That's what it was called. This book, this ID, this one here. So now I'm going to tell you the story, what happened to me about this particular ID that really, really made me to be so scared of my life again. All right, so while I came back from the fashion show, imagine, the fashion show was so fantastic. Now, going back home, I had my shoes in my bag, and on the other side, I had my makeup. So imagine I'm walking to the main street where I meant to take a taxi to go back home. Then around the corner, there come the policemen. These policemen, they came towards me. They just jump out of the car. They ask me, Dompas, show your Dompas, show your paper, show your paper. I said, excuse me, hang on. Hey, let me look if I have it with me, because I wasn't sure if I did take it with. So the funny part of it, I told them, please give me a chance. Let me look if I could find my ID. I looked into my handbag. Unfortunately, I did forget this ID at home. And these policemen, they could not take longer. They just grabbed me and they opened up the door, the police car, they opened the door, they just grabbed me and threw me in that car. And I said, hang on, I didn't kill anybody. What's up with you? And they told me, you have to produce this paper, this thing, this Dompas for the black people. That made me so mad. So they took me in the police car. Then I was jailed for 4 days. I was in prison because of my skin color, because I failed to produce this ID, which was meant to be only for black people. That was a law in South Africa. We blacks, underpressed, we were really under each and every situation, we were really oppressed. So because of this book, I ended up in jail for 4 days. Being in jail, that was my worst experience. Before I even entered the jail, in this police van, they were driving. It was like I was a murderer. I was like somebody. They were driving left and right, and then when we entered the police station, they opened up the door. They just threw me outside. Can you imagine? They threw me out after my bags and everything, and then they grabbed me this side and that side. The other one just took my things and threw them to me, and then I was jailed for 4 days. That was when I realized what is happening with my life. Being black, am I born to suffer? Am I born to fight? What is all this thing about? Each and every time I'm trying to do something, there was something coming, obstacles, everything. But now, when I was jailed, then I was in this prison. This was now the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life. Coming into this jail, there were about a bunch of women, those prisoners, those women, they were huge, they were strong. And these women, they were not in jail because of failing to show their Dompas, or this thing called this South African ID, which was meant to be carried only by the black people. So while I was in jail, these prisoners, they asked me, hey, why are you here? And I told them, excuse me, I did forget my ID, and that's why they arrested me. And those women in jail, they looked at me, they said, what? They arrested you because of an ID? Yeah, okay, so what were you doing? And I told them I just came from a fashion show. Man, these women, they just grabbed me in prison too. They beat me. The other one pulled me with the pants. The other one clapped me left and right. And they were huge. And I was scared of these women. I kept saying, please, please, please don't beat me. But they did beat me. I was pink and blue from those prisoners. And while I was screaming, I had no any other option. Nobody could help me, because prison is prison. I had to be there because why? I failed to show this ID. This apartheid, this racism, it was really for me like I am born to suffer and go through these stages. And because of this book, this jail did teach me a lesson. And while I was in this prison, it was like for me hell every day. Waking up in the morning at 4, we were beaten by the prisoners, and then the police, they just come in there. They just woke up as woke us up as we were a bunch of nothing. They just come there, pour with cold water. Hey, wake up, wake up, wake up! And excuse me, we had to wake up in jail. And I went through hell in my life. After these 4 days, my grandparents knew Tina is arrested. Why? Because my grandmother found out that I forgotten this thing, this ID, this Dompas that made me to be in prison because I was black. It made me to be in prison. So my grandmother knew exactly I have to do something. She knew where to find me. And she came to this prison and she asked, I am looking for my granddaughter. Her name is Albertina. And of course, my grandmother knew exactly. Then they told her, you wait a minute, we're gonna look, we're gonna search on the files. Obviously, they found me. That's when my grandmother was forced to pay a fine of 100 rands to release me, because they told her it is the law in South Africa. So she didn't have the ID with her. Obviously, it was what we were going through, we black people. So I had to stay 4 days in prison, and then my grandparents, they were able to take me out of jail. Being out of jail, then I was like paranoid. I was like lost. I was like confused with my life. What is happening? But I stayed strong. Nothing stopped me. I kept telling myself, it doesn't matter what, I am still gonna continue with my life. And my life, it's still not finished. And the next video I'm gonna tell you is this: when I got discovered, after I took a step again, where this model agency, this brave woman that told me, Albertina, I'm gonna do something which nobody done in this country. I'm gonna take you as an example. So the next week, I'm gonna continue and tell you what happened to me as a first black South African during apartheid regime. What happened to me, what kind of racism and apartheid I went through. So this is gonna be another mind-blowing video for next Friday. Okay, thank you for watching, and thank you for taking your time to listen to my true stories. And next Friday, I'm gonna explain to you what happened. So I enjoy telling you about my life, about my story, my true stories, what I went through, my own story. So share and like, and if you want to leave a message, you can go under www.blackpower.ch or African events at bluemail.ch. Someone asked for my contact. So we're gonna end up like this, and thank you so much, and stay blessed. Love you. Mwah. See you next Friday.